This is the Shaman Crest. It is currently locked in competition with the Beast Crest as the most misunderstood crest in the game. Its improvement to skill damage is extremely uneven, depends on how much you've upgraded your needle, and has established itself as a hotspot of misinformation and hoodwinkery. And 10% of that may be my fault, because I said the bind would cancel if you did it from too far up, but you can actually hold the button and it'll go through. So, the more you know. I'm lining up all 6 skills for the final judgment and teaching you the inner workings of the new Shaman Crest and how it might not be helping your build as much as you think it is. Thanks to the bustling, productive community from the Hollow Knight wiki, this one right here. Hope you're following that one. And not whatever the fandom page is turned into. I mined up some of the juiciest, most mouth-watering data this side of the Pacific, and now I'm humbly deciding to share all those juicy morsels with all of you. My opinions are sometimes half-baked, but the numbers are always grilled to perfection. Math calculated, game data dissected, sobriety not included. Internet protected, Discord scams rejected. My audience directed to NordVPN, bitch, motherfucker. This is your home. This is your home without proper internet protection. You can't see her, but Hornet is inside crying because she doesn't have internet protection. The world fucking stinks, especially in today's cyber climate where your personal data is sold. You feel vulnerable in public places when all you want to do is log into Discord or something. Someone's messaging your grandma about this hot new shitcoin that's totally gonna take off. You probably already have a VPN, but you know someone in your family who could probably use it too. A certain someone who may not be the most technologically literate, which is why NordVPN prides itself on being the easiest VPN to use. When you download it, it's literally as simple as just pressing connect. They have a global network of servers too, which doesn't just mean more locations to link to, but users get considerably faster speeds than what's considered the industry standard, which would otherwise take a massive bite out of your bandwidth. avtest.org verified this using speed tests with multiple VPNs, and they have an ad blocker, and they have a malware detector, and they have a dark web monitor that scans parts of the internet for your information, DDoS prevention during games and streams, bypassing censorship laws by just saying you're from another location, and other convenient features. If you get the 2-year plan, you get 4 extra months on top of it using the link nordvpn.com/rustyvpn in the description and the pinned comment. And if there's ever any second thoughts, you've even got a 30-day money-back guarantee. Number 6. Sharpdart. Darp Shart started off as not only my number 1 pick, but also my most frequently used skill of the 6, because I make a lot of mistakes I've learned. This is not Hollow Knight, and coming fresh off the hot piping neurons of someone who still thought they were playing Hollow Knight when the game first started, I thought iframes during a dash was just the shit. Like, I didn't think I could live without it. And then the game gives you a faster dash that also does damage, 6 other different types of pogos, running attacks, and charge attacks, a whole ass hardware store of gadgets and combat tools taken straight from the Silksong Home Depot, and a task force of enemies and bosses that are so strong I don't even think iframes would have helped anyway. Sharpdart only has its initial impact damage get boosted by Shaman Crest, and not the other ticks of damage when you dash through something with it. It only recently received a buff with the way it interacts with the Shaman Crest, because before any patches, Sharpdart would have been dealing 67 damage when fully upgraded and boosted by the crest, and now it does a total of 78. Slap the Volt Filament on top of that and you can boost it to 94. And the fattest laugh of them all is that even after all these changes, Sharpdart is still the weakest skill in the game, mathematically speaking. Sharpdart is also the only skill of the 6 that feeds into Hornet's aptitude for mobility, effectively becoming an extra dash for you saucy, ballsy sequence breakers. And just after having recorded all of this, I started getting videos like these in my recommended, so that's very validating. And Silkspear still manages to out DPS it by just a hair, no matter your needle level, with or without the Shaman Crest or Volt Filament. This skill is shit, but it's a fun shit. It's a Shadow Dash in a game where you don't need Shadow Dash, and I think Shadow Dash in the original Hollow Knight with Sharp Shadow still felt better to use in my opinion. Remember like that one fake television ad I did for Sharp Shadow where I pretended I was like selling you a car or like a blender or some shit like 4 years ago, like with a fake phone number and everything? Remember when I tried to do lore videos? There is mildew in my bloodstream. Like, I can smell it. Number 5, the Cross Stitch. I think the Shaman Crest is pretty much mandatory for this skill. Without it, its multipliers make it the least powerful Silk skill in the entirety of Silksong. And that's on top of learning a parry timing that feels just a bit more precise than it should be, and it doesn't refund your Silk if you fuck it up. But that's probably just my ass being bad at the game, who knows. The lowest DPS skill in the game has a skill check, is my main point. But with the Shaman Crest and Volt Filament equipped, everything changes. The way multipliers work on Silk skills is that they scale directly with your needle's attack power. So, for example, Silkspear does 3 times the damage of a needle hit. So if your needle does 21 damage, Silkspear will do 63 damage, without exception. The Shaman Crest adds a flat 1.5x multiplier of your needle's damage to the skill. So since Silkspear's multiplier is 3.0, the Shaman Crest will take that to 4.5. Multi-hit skills actually used to get a massive spike in power from this in the earlier patch because the Shaman's passive would have also boosted each hit individually by the same flat amount. It was actually really convoluted, took multiple people to figure out, lots of math involved. I think someone had to go to the hospital. But re-examining cross-stitch for a second, with a pale needle, each hit inflicts 20 damage instead of the 13 per hit that it usually does, and stacking Volt Filament on top of this almost doubles its final damage, taking it up to 97 in total, turning the lowest DPS skill in the game into the second lowest DPS skill in the game. And it still has a timing window. And it still doesn't refund your silk if you fuck it up. Thematically, it is pretty fun using it with the Beast Crest because it's the only skill that actually fits the theme of thrashing bozos apart with claws or whatever. But the meta here for this one is very obviously pairing it with the Shaman and the Filament. I think that's pretty much the meta for all silk skills. Nice fucking observation, Rusty. You want to do a second take of that? No, just go right on ahead. Just keep reading. This is an example of the numbers making it look good on paper, but telling a different story in practice. It's not even the parry window is that difficult, but if I'm measuring these specifically in terms of ease of use, I'm almost always going to go for the one that just gives me all my damage with the press of a button. That's just who I be. Some people like to flex on the last sliver of HP on the boss like they've got an audience following them around, waiting for the word applause to start blinking. I save the ore farming for when the bitch is already dead. We would not get along at all. Number 4, Pale Nails. The damage values for this are very similar to Silkspear, but it introduces into the formula a slim opportunity for one of the projectiles to just not show up today and do its job and just miss completely. They almost never do that, but that doesn't take away from this being an end-game Silk skill that's having trouble measuring up to the blowgun you found in Mossholm, unless you slap it on the Shaman Crest, which improves each hit of a skill by half a needle's worth of damage. Never mind, this is the current patch, and it still has trouble measuring up to Silkspear, because the Silkspear was given an increased modifier, so the numbers on both have just seemed to even out. The single-hit Silkspear and the multi-hit Pale Nails both get boosted by the same amount by the Shaman Crest, and you can bring it up to 100 plus with the Volt Filament, giving it the power to one-tap a lot of the game's most threatening enemies: Duct Suckers, Roach Keepers, Scroll Readers. Of course, that's assuming the game's hidden defense modifiers don't dick you over and leave the enemy at 2 HP, which it might, because I recently learned that was a thing in this game too. I was really expecting a building frustration from at least one of these nails consistently catching the tip of a wall or a bridge or something and just never getting a chance to actually reach its target. But that surprisingly never happens. Anything that isn't a living, breathing organism, these projectiles just do not give a shit about. And I don't know what military-grade hyper-intelligent targeting system Team Cherry set these bitches up with, but these needles somehow just always know exactly what I'm intending to hit. I could be surrounded by a mob of mites or spit squits, and as long as I'm technically closer to my intended target, these needles just become missiles on a stealth drone. Like, I launch them and they're just like, got it, boss, and they just seek and motherfucking destroy. God damn, I love this skill. I even had it placed above Silkspear prior to the newest patch, but I think Silkspear just barely wins me over because Pale Nails is only a single target ability, whereas Silkspear has a penetrating hitbox that's basically just a thick line going across your screen that damages anything close to it. More practical, less skill involved, just my size. Number 3, Rune Rage. Getting numbers for this skill has made me question everything I thought I knew about math, from architect level measurements in a 3-dimensional space to basic second grade arithmetic. It's confused me so much that when typing this script, I mistakenly tacked on TH to the end of second. Yeah, basic tooth grade arithmetic. Okay, so from what I can glean from this, Rune Rage deals slightly less than 3 needle hits when an enemy is first hit by any rune in the barrage. Regardless of needle attack power, it returns a value of 54. It can be level 0, it can be fully torqued, it'll still be the same value no matter what. Enemy defense is not included. Now, if they're hit by any subsequent runes in the same cast, the damage value will diminish rapidly, going from 54 to 27, then to 18, then I don't know beyond that point. I tested all this manually, and the only boss with enough patience to actually sit there and eat all the runes they could in a single cast was Crawfather, so whatever damage he takes, that's what I'm reporting. Wearing Shaman Crest seems to boost the initial damage to 62, and then stacking that on top of Filament will boost the initial damage to 66. The second hit always diminishes by half, then by 2/3, then by 3/4, and then so on and so forth. This seems to be the game's way of balancing the skill so that it finds a wider range of use against both small targets with lots of agility and sweaty fat fucks. You can't get too lucky against a fat target and deal mega PP damage that would be considered broken, but a smaller dude can still get hit by a single rune and take very significant damage from it. It's a pretty creative way to balance a skill like this, and I think the only reason it feels so weird to use is because Pale Nails already seems to get the job done when it comes to single target damage, and Threadstorm is kinda just the king of everything else. Mathematically speaking, there is a better alternative available no matter your situation. So I think the most important takeaway from this is multiple hits on the same target give rapidly diminishing returns. Any further explanation is a bunch of sci-fi codebreaker quadratic formula ass fuck shit that's locked behind 5 college level courses in mathematics and a lack of self-preservation. Not like I don't have time to do all the math during the flagrantly long wind-up of the skill, but it's lucky it actually knows how to do damage because I'm this close to putting down the calculator and telling the skill to find the derivative of my balls. Number 2, the Silkspear. If I was being reductive, I would just say this is a better Darp Shart you get before Darp Shart, and then hastily jog my ass over to the next paragraph. But there is so little nuance to explain here with this skill that I feel like I'm just going to resound reductive no matter what. Like it's a spear, made of silk. Spear things with it. You know how to use a fucking fork? Well, you know how to use a spear. When comparing it to other options, Silkspear provides a combination of great damage, quick casting time, and consistency that feels lacking on anything else. It's got better area coverage than Pale Nails, and it's way more consistent than Rune Rage. Its only competition being Threadstorm, but that's also considering you're landing every single hit. Before the newest patch, Shaman Crest treats multi-hit skills like they're preparing a fucking dish for that skinny bitch food critic in Ratatouille. I don't remember what his name was. Point is, multi-hit skills used to get spoiled, like, big time. Threadstorm and Cross Stitch were the two shining examples of this, and thankfully, the subsequent hits of each seem to be reined in a bit with the newest patch, while also giving a significant buff to how the Shaman Crest interacts with single-hit skills. The way Shaman Crest improved upon Silkspear in the old patch felt more analogous to upgrading from regular fuel to premium. It's really just to say you're doing it, and even then, people are either going to be heavily confused, or they're going to think you're going through an identity crisis. 11 damage in total, bringing it up to 74 when fully upgraded, which is it's just poor as piss. Piss poor even. Truly the same impact to performance as giving RGB lighting to your PC. And now, thankfully, it's got a much higher multiplier that takes its ceiling from high 70s to 115 when paired with Shaman Crest and Volt Filament. The higher base damage makes it a really comfortable skill to just slap onto any other crest that isn't Shaman and still get some good performance out of it. 63 damage is still a lot to a bug. I don't know what the average health bar of a bug looks like in real life, but dealing 63 damage to a fucking stink bug that found its way into my office, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's dead. Alright, everyone stop downloading malware, it's time to bring out the charts. So yeah, number 1 is Threadstorm. This should surprise absolutely nobody. Threadstorm comprises 2 separate stages to its activation. The first stage, consisting of 5 hits, is performed with a single button press. Nothing more you have to do, just start it up and let it fly. Each hit does 75% of a needle attack, so when it's fully upgraded, it will do 80. No extended hits, no Shaman Crest, we have got absolutely nothing funneling into this and it's already looking insanely promising. Now, this can be extended by just repeatedly tapping the button a la Cyclone Slash, giving you 6 additional hits that deal 35% of a needle attack. And again, when fully upgraded, that's going to hit for around 42. Okay, so we're in triple digits here, assuming every single hit successfully connects with the boss, and if the boss is staggered, then it probably will eat every single one of those. Threadstorm has already done enough to be placed immediately on the top shelf just due to the amount of damage you can accumulate with it, but the amount of spider steroids injected into this skill by Shaman Crest and Volt Filament and its own unique buff to Silk skills is the exact gas Threadstorm needed to make the jump from Diamond tier to motherfucking Obsidian. So, remember what I said earlier about Shaman's 50% boost? Well, the reason this becomes such an important little factoid in the context of this skill is because the crest also improves all the subsequent hits by 50% if you repeatedly spam the button after casting, bringing each of those bitches from 7 to 10. And seeing the treatment Sharpdart received from Shaman, I kinda just wasn't expecting this, like, at all. This is already villainous damage against just about anything, but ever since Volt Filament got fixed, it gives you an even stronger boost than it did before, bringing its damage total pretty far into the 200s, considering every single hit connects. This is especially harmful to bosses that don't get up to move around that much, like Nylith or Grandma Silk, or bosses that summon mobs like Crawfather and the Unraveled. Resorting to tactics like this is honestly pretty common for late game bosses, and even if I'm not building around Shaman Crest, I would still prefer to have Threadstorm in a lot of these encounters just so the ads I have to deal with are as minimal as possible. This is a chart that documents the damage ceiling of each skill. You'll notice how well this puts into perspective what a bonkers-ass outlier Threadstorm continues to be in this equation when comparing it to anything else. AoEs and zoning attacks like this usually have reduced damage due to how many enemies they can target at once. It's just kind of something you would expect. There's multiple bits of evidence in this very game that support this, like Rune Rage's diminishing damage when hitting the same target repeatedly, or the charged attack on the Witch Crest technically being the weakest of the 7 if you don't repeatedly spam the button. No other skill even comes close to this, and it's not even that hard to land on most bosses as long as you just stagger them first. Speedrunners and challenge runners will be throwing this shit on with Shaman Crest and Volt Filament here in the next couple weeks or so just get ready for that. Never mind, it's already happening. Jesus Christ, just how big is the power gap between these two main characters anyway? How does an attack like this only deal 1 damage to you in the first game? Fuck, man. Failed Champion must have been working the Kingdom's tram system into his deadlift routines.